butt wipe.
Okay. Don't look down. Don't look down. Whoa. Well, that's a long ways.
Hurry the hell up, butt wipe.
Oh boy.
Where's the bowl?
It was like too hard to climb and bring it up here at the same time, so I decided to climb first and then bring it up here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Damn it, Beavis, the bowl was the whole reason I came up here. Now get down there and get it.
I don't know, buddy. It's kind of scary to try to. Ah! How are we gonna get down, butthead?
Get down.
Yeah, boy.
Someone's got to put the ladder back up. So, Beavis, you're gonna have to jump off the roof.
I don't know, butthead. We're kind of really far off the ground, and
I don't care.
maybe you could jump. Yeah.
Okay, I've got an idea, Beavis. If you take, like, a running start, you can jump into that tree and climb down.
That looks kind of far, though.
You can do it, Beavis. I believe in you. So hurry up, nutsack.
Well, oh boy. I guess I could give it a try. I don't know, butthead.
Run as fast as you can, Beavis.
Okay, here goes. Yeah. Don't look down yet. Ah! Butthead, help!
Help you jump down?
No! 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 Ah! I don't want to fall! Ow!
Grow up, Beavis.
Ah, no!
Everything isn't always about you.
Ah! Ow! Yeah, ow! It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I'm all right. Yeah.
Get my napkin ready, just in case anything.
Whoa!
Out of all the notable times of year people celebrate, Halloween has always been hands down my favourite. Valentine's Day? That's either depressing or an obligation. Even when you do have someone to share it with, you can't win. You either do something nice, which is expected of you, or you do nothing and be hated by your partner. You either draw or lose. Easter? Yay, chocolate. A confectionery more abundant year. Exciting stuff. What about Christmas?
Hatred exists. I shall remain impervious to attack.
So if that's the case, are you telling me that you are merely suppressing your hatred of me, or do you actually like me?
Don't deny the inevitable, Prime. You have no other choice.
Admit it, Prime! I am Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots!
I think one of the many things that is overlooked when it comes to Transformers Armada is the deep psychology that was explored when it comes to Optimus Prime and Megatron. Most Transformers shows as of today kind of really focus on the sibling brotherly rivalry relationship Optimus Prime and Megatron have, but Armada opted for something a bit different. Instead of it being right on the nose on who's good and evil, we now have Optimus Prime as a commander and Megatron as a general, both looking at their teammates as soldiers. While Optimus Prime is much warmer in that area, Megatron not so much as a ruthless ruler, but a disciplinarian, both noticing and in some ways respecting one another, as one soldier to the other. Now this video isn't about which Prime and Megatron are better, this video is just about noticing a different layer and complexity to the Optimus Prime and Megatron chemistry that is oftentimes overlooked and never kind of revisited. In most Transformers media, it's more pandered with the brotherly-like relationship. Every battle that was fought in Transformers Armada had a strategic element to it. There was a sort of strategy on both parties. So instead of just like reckless fighting, hoping to kill one another, it would always be more about which battle would be won today, and then planning on the next strategy for the next fight. Going on and on like there was no end in sight, and this was demonstrated wonderfully in the final episode of Armada, Mortal Kombat. Just for the sake of consistency, I know Megatron was redubbed as Galvatron at the end of the Armada series, but really there was no difference other than a paint job, so I'm just going to continuously call him Megatron just for the sake of it. Not only is it the strongest episode in the series, but it raises a lot of questions and purpose of their relationship. Megatron consistently provoking Optimus Prime to have a discussion with him about their dilemma, while Optimus Prime wants to ignore the conversation and maintain their treaty together. Just for a recap for anyone who hasn't watched the Armada series, midway through the show Unicron emerged. Both Autobots and Decepticons joined forces to fight against their common foe, but this was helped with Starscream's death convincing Megatron that there are bigger things to deal with than another battle. And this is the point where Armada got more interesting because it showed Optimus Prime and Megatron in a different light. We already got a tease of this though when Optimus Prime sacrificed himself to stop Megatron's blast from destroying Earth. When Optimus Prime was vaporized, for a few episodes we saw Megatron actually dealing with the loss of Optimus Prime and kind of lost his kind of excitement for the fight now because there wasn't anyone to oppose him that was on the same level as him. Like, I'll never forget the moment when as a kid I thought it was really strange of Megatron yelling out Prime's name.
He's completely disintegrated into space dust. Optimus!
Because you would have expected him to laugh or gloat about it, but rather he was shocked because you could see how much respect he had for him as an adversary. Megatron was just like, well, war isn't fun anymore. So much so he retreated after that. Megatron could have just blasted Earth once again, but instead decided to retreat because he had to kind of deal with the fact that a guy who has been fighting for millennia has just died in front of his eyes. At any chance Megatron has, he always likes to rub into the face to Optimus Prime that he is superior to him, and when he no longer has someone that he can do that to, he feels lost. And when Optimus Prime was brought back to life a few episodes later, Megatron was glad to see him again.
I never thought I'd say this, but it's good to have you back, Prime.
It's just the stereotypical comparison of Batman and Joker, his yin to his yang. They are both fueled for their respect and hatred of each other. Megatron never expected to actually end up killing Prime, he just thought they were going to go on forever because, well, he's fueled by battle, he loves it. While Optimus Prime could never admit to enjoying the battle, he thought it was a necessary evil to maintain peace. Megatron was as shocked as Optimus Prime's sacrifice as much as he was as well for Starscream's sacrifice. Both had an impact on him that kind of changed how he behaved throughout the course of the series. Almost as though they would go as far as he would when it comes to a fight. Which makes him begin to question what this is all for. What is something Megatron could do that would be better than Optimus Prime or Starscream? Because whoever Megatron is fighting, most particularly Starscream or Optimus Prime, he always wants to prove that he is superior to them. And what does Megatron do at the end of the series? He sacrifices himself to stop Unicron. He finally does something that Starscream and Optimus Prime did, which in some ways would prove that he is willing to go all out in a fight as well, like they did, sort of understanding the meaning behind their sacrifice. I wouldn't say he really did it for the greater good, he just doesn't want to feel any lesser compared to them. Especially Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime had the same shock on his face when he saw Megatron sacrifice himself, much like how Megatron had the same look when Prime sacrificed himself, showing how they are two sides of the same coin. While Optimus Prime would have loved to have maintained a friendship with Megatron, he couldn't do that because of the eons they battled. To him it would have been anticlimactic. With every fight he has with Prime, he always wants to feel satisfied, like it was meant for something, as Megatron explains in the brilliant dialogue delivered.
If we don't continue our battle, then everything we've done in the past has been pointless. There can only be one ruler in the universe. Understand? And now the Unicron is out of the way, that leaves only you and me. Optimus! You know very well we could never reign as one. Our fight shall continue until either of us falls. And I shall be the last one standing after I crush you, Prime. Just like this.
You just might be right, Galvatron.
I would say Optimus Prime is actually a bit darker than Megatron himself, because Optimus Prime is merely hiding his hatred for Megatron. As Unicron describes that their hatred for each other is the very thing he feeds off that makes him more powerful, as he doesn't see Autobots or Decepticons any different from each other. While I do believe Optimus Prime does fight for peace, there is another dark aspect of this. As Unicron says, how does war translate into peace? Well, unfortunately for Optimus Prime, war is the only way to stop Megatron's tyranny because he won't be met with any dialogue or discussion. Optimus Prime's hatred for Megatron has built up over the years due to the fact Megatron's reluctant to change. That's why Optimus Prime has so much hatred for him. And this is why I think the Transformers is a great allegory for war in the human world, because obviously this is the very same thing we have to deal with when wars are fought on the planet. We can protest all we want that we don't want war, but unfortunately the only way we can deal with the evils of the world is to take action into our own hands to try and maintain peace. Because of how different humans are from each other, there will always be something to stand in the way of peace. There will be rulers and dictators of a world that won't stand to reason, and will only fight for something that they believe is just. Some people just want to watch the world burn, or to have it under their control. Which makes the Transformers not so different from us in terms of how they behave. We've got militaries and generals just like the Transformers do. And when Megatron joins forces halfway through the series, Optimus Prime feels a sense of relief that there could be possible dialogue between the pair. Much like how some world leaders can come together, but then after a few years of differences will go back to their roots of fighting each other. But in Megatron's case, not so much as he wants to see the world burn, he just wants to carry on the fight with Optimus Prime in the final episode, because he doesn't want it to be a waste, because all his life he has just been fighting for the last person standing. But because the loop of the battles would be constant, he can no longer see an end in sight. So he wants to continue the same pattern because it's the one thing that fuels him. I genuinely believe at some point Megatron did want to be the supreme ruler of the universe, but after a while got tired of that goal because he realised it wouldn't really give him satisfaction. I mean, he addresses this to Thrust himself.
You can't just leave me here, please! Thrust, if you dare to have dreams of power, you will be consumed by them.
Megatron sees his own reflection in Thrust, someone who is hungry for power, and the look of it makes Megatron kind of disgusted. I think with all the battles Megatron has experienced with Optimus Prime has come to an understanding that he is a superior leader and fighter. In the episode Mortal Kombat, we actually notice a lot that Optimus Prime is using his fists and integrity, while Megatron uses all of his weapons at his disposal, with Optimus Prime sometimes using Megatron's own weapons against him, proving how weak they are. But still, with the time they spent being allies with each other is the reason why Optimus Prime just can't watch him die at the end, because, well, despite him having a lot of hatred for him, did see that they could work together as a team. That, despite all else, is the one thing Optimus Prime wants. And in some ways I think Megatron would want as well, but because the eons they fought has just gone on for too long, he just can't see it being any different. Despite the respect they share for each other, the hatred is still strong. And Megatron's death is the only kind of closure Optimus Prime will ever get, because with Megatron dead, obviously the Autobots and Decepticons can focus on maintaining peace with each other. Gives Optimus Prime a sense of comfort that with Megatron sacrificing himself, that there was a part of Megatron that would have loved to have changed, even though it was something he could never bring himself to act upon. But honestly, seeing these two work together in the show was actually a great sight to see, especially for a kid, because it gave me hope that two people can come together and work side by side. I guess if there's a spark of hope out there, that people are able to change, even if they just give you a glimpse of it, then maybe it's not all for nothing. But how long that should be tolerated? I guess that's up for you to decide. For Optimus Prime's case, despite the eons they've been fighting each other, he was still glad that Megatron was fighting beside him, taking on Unicron. I really do think that the Armada incarnations of Optimus Prime and Megatron are really interesting and fascinating ones. Yes, this was the show I grew up with, but it did teach me an awful lot as well. I think it provokes us the fans a little bit by how this fighting of Optimus Prime and Megatron is going to go on endlessly with new Transformers incarnations around the corner. Is there ever going to be a change to this franchise, like a major change? It really does seem like the Transformers brand will go on forever and we'll always see an Optimus Prime going up against a Megatron. Anyway guys, this has been my Transformers Armada video. I plan on doing more in the future of other ideas I have, so let me know if you really liked this video. And if you did, be
Number 10, Bradley Finnan and Larry Brodax. On April the 4th of 2020, Larry Brodax was killed while carrying out a robbery in Arlington Heights, Illinois. Although his accomplice, Bradley Finnan, didn't actually fire the gun that ultimately killed the 58-year-old burglar, he was arrested and charged with the murder 3 days later. It was reported that Brodax had confided in 38-year-old Finnan about the presence of $200,000 in boxes at the Arlington Heights residence 20 years earlier and believed that the money could still be there. Taking advantage of the safety measures put in place in response to the COVID pandemic, both men covered their faces with surgical masks before conducting the break-in. The homeowner, who had a doorbell camera installed for security purposes, opened the door believing the two men to be landscapers. The robbers could then be seen pushing their way into the house, and only 27 seconds later, Finnan was pushed out the door. Brodax had been fatally shot inside the living room by the resident, who was determined to have acted in self-defense and thus wasn't charged. Because Brodax's death occurred during an attempted robbery, Finnan was held criminally responsible. Upon his arrest, the man was charged with felony murder and home invasion. Number 9. Madison Harris. On February the 24th of 2020, Madison Harris was murdered at her grandparents' house in southern Mississippi. James Waldeck, who was engaged to Harris's grandmother at the time, was alerted to the fact that something had happened by his doorbell security app, which indicated that an ambulance had been called to his home. The resulting recording showed 5 teenagers entering the property through the garage, which was followed by the sound of gunshots. The teens subsequently ran back outside as they were chased out by Harris's father. The images captured by the camera allowed investigators to quickly identify the perpetrators, some of whom had visited the house frequently in the days and weeks preceding the deadly incident and had even been considered friends of the victim. 2 weeks prior to Harris's murder, the home had been burglarized, and Waldeck told authorities that he suspected both crimes to have been committed by the same individuals. Due to the age of the 5 suspects, the names weren't immediately disclosed to the public. However, it was reported that they'd each been charged with capital murder. Number 8. Las Vegas Man.
I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
An unnamed Las Vegas man was arrested on July the 21st of 2021 after allegedly threatening to assault a woman outside her residence. The man's accuser, whose name wasn't revealed to the media, shared a video of the incident that had been captured by a doorbell camera. In the recording, the suspect could be seen knocking on her door repeatedly, explaining that he had several questions for the homeowner. The woman's husband, who wasn't home at the time, used the doorbell camera's intercom system to ask the stranger his name. Rather than identify himself, the stranger replied with a chilling confession, claiming that he wanted the woman in the house to come outside so that he could assault and murder her. He added that he was armed with both a gun and a knife, and continued to insist that the woman step outside. By the time police arrived at the scene, the stranger had already left. Thanks to the recording uploaded by the victim, a neighbor recognized the man and contacted the authorities, who subsequently made an arrest in connection to the incident. The unnamed man was reportedly charged with coercion, obstructing a public officer, and aggravated stalking. Number 7. Jennifer Chioma Ibichi. 25-year-old Michael Egwagu, a former varsity college football player, was caught on camera confessing to the murder of his sister, Jennifer Chioma Ibichi, aged 32. The video, recorded on December the 27th of 2019, showed Egwagu exiting Ibichi's home with a kitchen knife in hand, his clothes covered in blood. Before leaving the property, the man took off his clothes and was then heard saying, "I killed Jennifer." The latter had been pregnant at the time of her death, and the medical examiner who conducted her autopsy reported the presence of between 1 to 2 dozen stab wounds on her body. On July the 17th of 2020, following a bench trial, Ibichi was found not guilty by reason of insanity by presiding judge Julie Kokorik. He was subsequently transferred to a state hospital in order to undergo psychiatric treatment. Number 6. Gabriel West Jr. On November the 21st of 2019, Jonathan Qualls and Gabriel West Jr., both in their mid to late 20s, fatally shot Aaron Jones at his home in Indianapolis, Indiana. Jones, who'd allegedly sold illegal substances and sports gear out of his basement prior to his death, had installed a Ring security camera on both the front and side doors of his residence. Detectives were thus able to access recordings and pictures of the moments leading up to and immediately following the murder. Police discovered Jones's body in the basement, where he'd reportedly been shot to death, and also determined that money had been stolen. The images recorded by the doorbell camera, which showed the suspects entering the house and leaving with duffel bags in hand minutes later, were instrumental in the identification and arrest of Qualls and West. The former, who'd known the victim since childhood, agreed to testify against West as part of a plea bargain with prosecutors that sentenced him to 19 years for robbery. West, identified by his accomplice as the shooter, was handed down a minimum prison term of 55 years. Number 5. Michael Hettel. Former NASA executive Michael Hettel was filmed shooting his neighbor, National Guard member Javon Prather, 7 times during a fatal altercation at his home in Washington, D.C. on March the 3rd of 2020. In the footage recorded by the doorbell camera, 52-year-old Hettel was shown opening the front door and opening fire after the victim called on him to come out. The police arrived at the scene after having been alerted to the situation by concerned neighbors. According to eyewitnesses, the two men had been arguing over several property issues since 2016. Hettel later claimed to have been acting in self-defense, believing Prather was knocking on his door with the intention of harming him. The victim's wife assured officers that this was not the case and that Hettel had threatened to shoot her when she tried to retrieve her husband's body following the shooting. The footage was played in its entirety during Hettel's trial, leading to him being found guilty of first-degree murder in October of 2021. The following January, the man was consequently given a life sentence. Number 4. Jahade Chauncey. On January the 16th of 2021, 23-year-old Jahade Chauncey was ambushed outside a recording studio in Staten Island, New York, by 2 armed robbers. The incident was caught on a Ring doorbell camera which showed both assailants lying in wait until Chauncey stepped outside, at which point they pushed him back inside. Gunshots subsequently rang out before the perpetrators fled the scene. An ambulance was immediately called to the studio, but Chauncey died soon after being transported to the Staten Island University Hospital. The victim, a young entrepreneur, had founded the recording studio along with several friends the previous year. Darren Boyd and Ming Liu, who were 30 and 29 respectively at the time of the incident, were arrested 5 months later. They had allegedly planned the deadly robbery to recover money owed by someone associated with the studio. The latest available information on the case indicated that the 2 men had pleaded not guilty to their charges. Number 3. Clarence Stokes. On August the 27th of 2021, New Jersey man Clarence Stokes brutally murdered 44-year-old Latrick Avery and her fiancé, 67-year-old Stanley Gunter, at the couple's shared residence. After stabbing Gunter to death in the apartment, Stokes followed his second victim to a neighbor's house, as was captured by a doorbell camera. Avery frantically knocked on the door, screaming for help. As Stokes moved in on her, upon reaching her, the assailant repeatedly stabbed her with a folding knife. By the time police arrived at the scene, Avery was lying unresponsive on the porch. She was rushed to the Hackensack University Medical Center in critical condition, but was declared dead shortly thereafter. Stokes was quickly identified as the couple's killer after detectives reviewed the recordings. Later that night, he was arrested, whereupon officers found traces of the victim's blood on his clothes. Stokes was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in the incident's aftermath.
Back is killing me today. Tumors are
Be
not
sure to
fun.
subscribe and leave your comments in the comment
Tumors are
section
not
below.
fun.
And maybe, maybe, we'll get your video going next. Number 2. Albuquerque Prowler. Between February and May of 2021, a New Mexico woman received several notifications from her Ring doorbell camera regarding someone prowling around her Albuquerque home. The resident, who requested to remain anonymous,
Albuquerque's
called
a funny
911
word.
on 4 different occasions and even provided them with recordings of the stranger who was captured walking around her porch and attempting to peer into her windows. Francesca Purdue, a crime prevention specialist from the Albuquerque Police Department, indicated that while they've been alerted to the situation, the suspect left the scene before the arrival of law enforcement on each occasion. If caught, the stranger faced a potential trespassing charge, which can be treated as a misdemeanor or felony depending on the situation. No further incidents were publicly reported as of the latest updates on the matter. Number 1. Maureen Martin. Ohio woman Maureen Martin contacted the police after a stranger carrying a gun knocked on the door of her Toledo residence late one night in August of 2020. Martin informed officers that the man had been recorded by her Ring doorbell camera, which she'd turned on upon growing concerned that someone might be trying to gain access to her home. She refused to open the door as she kept a watchful eye on the man, who had a weapon tucked into his waistband as he stood outside her porch. When Martin continued to ignore his knocks, he walked away, followed by a second person who had been hiding nearby. While Martin was on the phone with 911, she reportedly heard someone prowling around her backyard, trying to open the door. The stranger was wearing a mask, making it virtually impossible to identify him through the surveillance recording. Nevertheless, local police distributed the video to the general public in the hopes that someone might recognize
Or who came up with that idea that everybody should wear masks even though they don't help?
Told reporters that each of her neighbors had indicated that they plan to purchase doorbell cameras to help bolster security in the area. Thanks for watching. If you had the superpower to forever rid the world of one of the following, which one would you choose? Scam call centers or porch pirates? Let us know in the comments section below.
Scam call centers, I guess, because I get that car warranty shit all the time.
So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money, and using the same transmission line that transmitted the coal-fired electric on. We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America and having wind and solar.
You're a fucking moron, Jesus Christ. Wind and solar are not fucking magic.
Coal burning plants. No one's going to build another coal burning. We've got to shut the ones down we have, but no one is going to build a new one. No one's going to build a coal-fired plant again, and we're going to get rid of the ones we have now because they're nothing but pollution.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Just to clarify,
yeah, it's our main form of energy that
fossil fuels, including coal and fracking.
The only thing better would be nuclear,
no,
which
we would work it
people
out.
are
Make sure it's
fucking asinine about.
No subsidies for either one of those.
Oh no, nuclear!
That's why we spend.
What do you know about nuclear? Nothing.
We can't do it all at once. We're working on it, kid. We're working on it. Why don't you sit down? I promise you.
Kid. Look. Look, brother. Just because you're 80 doesn't mean I'm a kid. Get the fuck out of here. That'd have been Trump calling a woman a kid. They've been all
Shut
over
these
him
plants down
for
all across
sexism.
America.
Mayor Bottoms, I picked up on that because I'm just wondering, Stacey Abrams' focus on the misinformation that's being targeted at black men, and it makes me wonder, is she not getting the black support she needs in her race against Brian Kemp?
Listen, Jonathan, I think that Stacey is spot on with that. I listen as my kids watch NBA highlights and whatever else they watch on YouTube. I hear the misinformation being piped in. My 12-year-old, my 14-year-old son, my 20-year-old is getting it. So there is definitely a target toward African-American men.
Whatever you say.
I'll be right back. Oh, look, the dog was outside. Oh wow, can you guys hear that? I can hear it in my earphones. I can hear my heat running in my earphones.
The full story of the Moro Arc. Magic Goat Man appears, beats up Carrot and Vegetable Prince. Both go away and do stuff separately. Goat Man loses, eats Space Android Man. Pause. Becomes a slightly less goat-looking Goat Man. Carrot discovers gray hair without aging. Goat Man fuses with Blue Planet and gets punched in face by Susanoo, Carrot, and dies. Subscribe to greedy, egotistical Frieza lightsaber YouTuber today. The full story.
That's pretty much it.
You're lost in the woods
Spoiler,
with no
sorry.
tools and no supplies. How do you survive? Your first priority should be to get out of there. If you don't have a compass, use the sun to pinpoint where east and west is. Water flows downhill, so you'll follow a stream and you'll be more likely to eventually find civilization. Fresh water is also vital for survival. A basic shelter can be put together without tools. You'll want to find some large sticks or logs and lean them against each other evenly so they're balanced. Find some leaves and grass to form makeshift bedding. You can make a fire with sticks, kindling like dry grass, and sparks created by hitting dry rocks together. There are animals out there, both small ones for food and large ones that might see you as food. Take a stick and file down the point with a sharp rock until you have a makeshift spear. If you have your shoelaces with you, you might also be able to make a bow and arrow. Make sure to cover any injuries with cloth you rip off your clothes and protect them from infection. Stay hydrated and keep moving. You're lost in the woods with no tools and no supplies. How do you survive? Your first priority should be to get out.
I don't know how.
By the early 1920s,
I don't know
they knew
how much that is true. It isn't.
And by the mid-1920s, they had started
the Perversion Files.
He says, why don't you join the Boy Scouts?
There were water activities, there was a rifle range, archery, there was just endless amounts of land to explore.
All the Boy Scouts did was essentially take a file.
Oh, why's it gotta be 69?
And store it in a locked box in their central headquarters.
They had thousands of incidents that were documented, and they kept it secret.
Mr. Sheehan, I'm still calling him by the name I did as a kid, called Billy. Come here.
All I could see is this pig mask.
One of the things we wanted to demonstrate was how many files the Boy Scouts had. We just brought the boxes of files in and left them in the courtroom so that the jury could see.
Holy shit.
This was something that happened regularly.
Even though they were in the files, they allowed to continue working perhaps in a different troop, a different state, a different city.
I do not recall another case where there's sustained, life-threatening physical abuse has been part of the picture.
I think in my head I wanted to write it off as some kind of misunderstanding. Started finding newspaper articles from the Boston Globe. That was when I realized that I was not alone.
Many questions unanswered haunt not only the survivors of Sheehan, but the soul of the town of Foxborough.
Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you enjoy my videos, consider hitting the like button. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. So today we're going to talk about the Culture series by Iain M. Banks. This is another large, sprawling science fiction universe with many of its own unique and interesting science fiction elements. So first of all, there's a lot of books in this series. They all follow different characters throughout the universe and different circumstances and situations. So in this series, the Culture is a post-scarcity society, kind of like the one in Star Trek, where humans and humanoid aliens, along with sentient artificial intelligence and sentient machines, live in harmony in what is basically a utopia. Now, they don't really inhabit planets. They usually are on ships or what they call orbitals, which are basically space stations. You can also consider the Culture to be kind of a post-human society because people aren't afraid to upgrade themselves. They have all sorts of mental enhancements, physical enhancements, sexual enhancements. They've been altered so they can live for hundreds of years, turn off pain at will. They can induce the effects of psychoactive drugs at will and essentially have a psychedelic trip whenever they want, instantaneously.
Damn.
The Culture is a society that holds freedom and individuality in high regard. It's essentially the best case scenario as far as the future of humanity could go. And also, similar to Star Trek, the main themes of this series center around the moral and ethical dilemmas that the Culture encounters when dealing with other civilizations and other societies throughout this series. The Culture is led by minds. The minds are the most intelligent beings, biological or otherwise, in the Culture. Now, essentially, a mind acts as the center of a ship or a space habitat. It has the computing capability to run the entire space station or ship. Some planets actually even have minds. They're so powerful computing-wise because they're actually four-dimensional entities. And much of their computing power comes from the fact that they exist partially in hyperspace and can calculate at essentially light speed. So I mentioned that there were other civilizations in this story. Now, the Culture is considered to be a high-level involved civilization, also called an Optimate civilization. So Optimate civilizations, like the Culture and others like it, were often the mentors and sometimes the rulers of other civilizations. And then there are also the lower level involved civilizations which had achieved, essentially galaxy-wide contact with other societies. There were a small number of involved civilizations, more than optimal civilizations of course, but certainly not as many as there were interstellar civilizations that weren't sufficiently influential. There were potentially thousands of these. There are also what are referred to as elder civilizations, which are the civilizations that did reach the level of advancement that would allow for them to go interstellar, but kind of retreated and didn't really become involved in any intergalactic meddling. But finally, one of the most interesting and honestly kind of terrifying types of civilizations brought up in the Iain Banks books is the Hegemonizing Swarm. So, the Hegemonizing Swarm is a civilization, but not really a civilization. A collection of entities that exist only to convert the universe into more of itself. And it will do this until it has used up all of the energy and matter in the entire universe.
Oh my goodness.
Now, this goes back to a concept that's been talked about and written about for years. In his 1986 book, Engines of Creation, nanotechnology pioneer K. Eric Drexler coins the term gray goo. Now, gray goo is a hypothetical catastrophic scenario which involves self-replicating machines, typically molecular nanotechnology, which grows beyond our ability to control it, and in order to continue replicating, consumes all of the biomass on Earth, because all it knows how to do, its main function, is to build more and more of itself. So, in his Culture series, Ian Banks adopts the term Grey Goo to describe the hegemonizing swarm-type civilization. Now, it wasn't just these types of self-replicating machine-based societies that were referred to as hegemonizing swarms, but it could also be any type of society that was singularly focused on conquest and control of other worlds. In fact, one of the central dilemmas that the Culture encounters actually involves them towing the balance when it comes to intervening with other worlds and other civilizations. The balance between being helpful and potentially becoming a hegemonizing swarm themselves, something that just keeps growing and keeps making more things into the same thing that it is. So there's the dilemma of, can the Culture become the very thing that it itself fears the most? And of course the Culture fears this. What civilization would actually desire to become the thing that eats the universe? The hegemonizing swarm is one of the most interesting concepts that gets explored in this series. When it comes to a civilization that is only interested in endless expansion, the question of where is this all going eventually has to be asked. What I like about this series is that the world building is very rich, it's very unique, it has its own flavor. The first book, Consider Phlebas, actually focuses on a character who is a shapeshifter named Horza. We also learn in this first book that there is a war between the Culture and this race of aliens called the Adirans, and we get to follow Horza, who gets caught up in all of this, and he just has really interesting adventures throughout that book, and I highly recommend it to anyone that wants to get started in the series. Don't even worry about reading the rest of it. Just read that first book, and if you like it, definitely continue on if you want to learn more about the universe and to uncover more secrets and to understand more about the goings on with the Culture and their interactions with the other civilizations in the galaxy. So the final thing that I like about this series is the humor. There were times that I laughed out loud. I think Ian Banks has a great sense of humor, and I like to see humor in sci-fi books because a lot of sci-fi books, especially ones that I tend to read, are kind of dark and grim, but this one includes humor while also broaching on some pretty interesting and deep topics, and I think it's a really nice balance. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you want to hear more about the Culture.
Man, I don't know if I could read all this.
For more Quinn's ideas. Peace out.
This guy.
Just a heads up for those of you that may be interested.
If you want to read anything sci-fi, head to this guy.
February 2023.
Quinn's
You
Ideas.
can sign up now to get on the email mailing list to get notified as soon as it launches.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Christmas is fantastic. But the problem with it is it loses all its magic when you become an adult, and from that point on it's just a mounting bill every year because your siblings won't stop procreating. Your missus is pregnant again. Ah, come on, this needs to stop. Happy for you. You lot have already added 5 extra birthdays to my year. That's not even mentioning how financially devastating this has been for my Christmas budget. What's this one gonna give you that the last one couldn't? Hello? He hung up on me. Well, let's play them at their own game, see how they like it. Connie, meet me in the bedroom. We're making 17 children. But Halloween is a time of year you can always enjoy. When you're a kid, you can go door to door, threatening strangers for handfuls of sweets like you're part of the knee-high mafia. And when you're older, you got horror movies, spooky cocktails, costume parties where strangers openly walk around in a delightful variety of your bedroom fantasies. And the biggest advantage it has over Christmas, the magic doesn't fade with age. Spooky stuff is always spooky, doesn't matter what age you are. Trust me, everyone's an adult until you wrap up watching a documentary on UFOs at 3 o'clock in the morning and you need to leave the dog out. Don't suppose you can hold this in till morning. So given my love for Halloween, I'd only jump at the opportunity to tell some spooky stories on here for you lot. But the thing is, I don't really have many. Problem is, I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in horoscopes, mediums, karma, mystics, religion, ghosts, demons, myself, and so on. About the only supernatural things I do worry about is evil witches, as I've dated a few in my time, kettles that randomly click for no reason. Why aren't we investigating this? Kettles just do that. It's not even plugged in. So what? Exactly. How long as a species are we going to keep ignoring this? And I am on the record for once calling a girl a succubus. Though in my defense, I was actually just issuing a command to a heavyset girl I took home home one night. But that being said, I do actually have a story of something strange that happened to me that still does freak me out a little to this day. But before I freak you out with that, I want to tell you about this video's sponsor, Established Titles. Are you sick of not getting the respect you deserve from partners, family, friends, the authorities? Well, fix that by becoming a lord or lady. Thanks to a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords or ladies, you can pop over to Established Titles and get your hands on a 1 square foot. Established Titles committed to preserving the natural woodland areas in Scotland. They also go a step further by planting at least 1 tree for every purchase, with having some lake in it.
This guy's voice is hits my ears, bro.
And they even do couples
Gotta turn that down.
Is already running a massive sale right now, but if you use code Sergeant Ducky, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/Sergeant Ducky to get your gift today.
The tone.
So I was late one night and I was wrapping
I don't
up a
know.
shift at my job working in a movie rental shop. Now, if you never worked in a shop, or even a lot of places now that I think of it, let me tell you, when everything is shut down, dark and empty, that place feels weird. During the day, your place of work is light, bright, sitcom set vibes, but at night, it feels like it has more damn souls than the wads of tissue next to my bed. But this night was a little extra spooky, because I'm closing up on my own. An uncommon occurrence, but needs be on this particular night. Now, just because I'm a logical duck, doesn't mean I'm immune to spooking myself out. I can reassure myself that ghosts aren't real. But I can tell you, that means all to a man wandering in the darkness of a shop presumably built on ancient graves at 11:30 on a dark winter's night. So I just finished cashing up the tills and doing paperwork, and my only job left to do was the hoovering, which I wasn't really looking forward to. Because firstly, if something was to sneak up behind me, I'd never hear it coming over the sound of the hoover. And secondly, most of the shop is darker than a nanny from the 1960s. I could have turned on the lights on the shop floor, but you know what people are like. Soon as I turn them on, they'll all come hopping off the window like moths.
Hello? Hello? What's wrong? Well, it's late at night. There's a close sign right there next to the open hours, which also state that they're closed right now. The doors are locked and all their monitors are off.
But the lights are on.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But the lights are on.
Banging on the glass and shouting like a lunatic. I was just about to do that. Okay, let me help.
You know what really bugs me?
Oh, I've had people do that.
For 10 solid minutes.
Nah.
When you finally get so annoyed and you open the door to tell them that you're closed, they'll be like, alright, we'll pop back tomorrow then. And walk off, not a bother on them. But anyway, I decide to bite the bullet and brave the darkness so I can be out of here as fast as possible. So I grab Henry, whose expression seems more sinister to me for the first time, channel my inner Luigi, and wander into the darkness of the shop floor and start hoovering. This takes a while though, because, well, I'm bad at hoovering. Hey Connie, you're a woman, you'll know. I'm doing the hoovering. What do you do when it stops giving you suction? Replace it? That seems a little bit harsh, no? Alright, fair enough. Pack your shit, I want you gone by the morning. Also, the cable of the so I gotta play musical sockets as I make my way around. And I'm on edge because I keep thinking I'm hearing something pop or snap over the sound of the hoover, which causes me to keep stopping. Now, I know in reality, I'm probably just hearing the clanks of the heating system cooling down or mice going at it in the ceiling. But on my head, it's the distinct snap of a latex Johnny as the ghosts prepare to go full goblin mode on my arse. So I'm really starting to get a move on at this stage. Moving at a tempo my arms haven't seen since my teenage years. Go away. I'm sore. But I wish that's as bad as it got. So I had most of the shop done at this stage and I had moved to the final socket. Now, you need to know something about plug sockets in Ireland. They look like this. This is probably familiar to you if you live in a place formerly owned by the British. Pretty unremarkable. You got your 2 sockets and a switch for each. These switches turn off the power to the socket, so if something was plugged in and this was switched off, there'd be no power going to it. Pretty handy in day-to-day life, particularly useful if you want to keep something plugged in that you don't want drawing power, as some things do. And these are the exact sockets we had in the shop. And what happened next freaked me the f*** out. It's going to sound minor and underwhelming, but it lacks any reasonable explanation that I know of, so you tell me. So I'm at the last plug of the night and the switches, as always, are turned off. And as I reach down to plug the hoover in, the switch for the socket I'm going for f***ing switches on by itself. I hadn't even touched it. My hand is still about a foot away from it. My insides immediately turned to water. I'm almost certain a little bit of poo came out. I am freaked the f*** out because I know for a fact that I influenced that switch in absolutely no way, shape or form. I don't think it was any kind of safety trigger because 1, in my 30 odd years around these plugs, they've never clicked on or off by themselves. And 2, it turned on, not off. No amount of rational thought was drawing any conclusions. So I just did what any brave man does in a situation of unfiltered fear. Nope. The following day, I asked my co-worker workers if this ever happened to them, thinking maybe it was a feature in these particular plug sockets, but they all predictably looked at me like I was absolutely mental, so I never brought it up after that. I never did get a good explanation for it though. I'd like to think there was a ghost just wandering by as I was about to plug in, but he forgot he was a ghost for a second and just decided to help get the switch for me.
Oh, not to worry, chap. I'll get that for you. There you go. Oh, did somebody fart?
So there you have it. The unexplained mystery of Ducky's life. I look forward to the clever electrician immediately explaining this as a normal socket phenomenon in the comments and making me look like a complete dumbass. But in the meantime, have a happy Halloween. I hope the young ones out there enjoy filling their bags and the old ones enjoy emptying theirs. And I will leave you with this message and catch you lads and ladies in the next one.
Yo, y'all ever been flowing? I mean, you spitting hard facts, fire, and everything you want to say is just coming out. Then you grab the phone and you can't remember the shit you said. Ain't that a bitch? Yo, y'all ever been flowing? You spit.
I'm just so desperate for a husband. Because a lot of
Oh.
pressure around me. So if you can deal and propose, I swear I'll behave and I'll marry you immediately. I'll wash your clothes, I'll cook for you, I'll have your children, and I'll be obedient, messy wife, because that is what you guys want.
Wow, this one is a sad case. Seems to me like feminism kind of let her down. Maybe there was a disconnect between what she thought she was going to get in reality. Let's keep going.
We're back with episode 3 of Why I Need a Man, or women in general, or want a man. Not just need, but maybe just want. So, my front door. My house is from the 1920s, and the front screen door needs changed. And the whole thing is like $2,000.
All right, is it a man problem or a money problem? So we're going to get to this one, but she needs somebody to change her front screen door. It's expensive to do, right? She can't do it, doesn't know how. I get it. But if she had the money, would she want the man?
For someone to do it professionally. I just want a new screen door.
Right.
Look at this thing.
Oh.
It's falling apart, so I have to buy it and put it on.
So fix it.
I don't want to do that.
What about #girlboss? Go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Figure out how to do it. As a
Miss
result,
Independent.
it seems like the housewife soccer mom.
I don't need no man.
These construction projects. Pretty good channel. Don't remember, but she could pick up that. But again, is it the money or the man?
To do that.
Women can do anything men can do.
Number 3 of why having a man around
Just do
is
it.
a great thing, and women do need them. That's it.
Listen, if I
Oh, yeah. You weren't saying that 10 years ago.
like the bomb squad or something. Do not get
All right, so here's a question for you guys. Should women be forced into the draft pool? Right now, they're not. And they can be in combat arms jobs, right? So they can be in harm's way where the bombs and shit are going off. But should they be forced to get into it? Now, I doubt we're ever going to have a draft.
Yep.
It's an important question.
give me that level.
They wanna
Don't
vote.
Put me near any explosives. I should not be trusted. This is a letter to
No.
Joe Biden. Listen to me.
Y'all are allowed it. Y'all are allowed in the army now. Y'all fought for it. So,
Easily distracted. The last
yeah.
We got to stop. Does everybody have ADHD now?
Relax. No one's no one's putting you into an army. Hun.
Is that really a thing? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe I'm just disconnected, old, don't get it. But it seems like everybody's got it.
thing you want me to do is handle an explosive, okay? Put my ass in the kitchen, like have me like scrubbing like the dishes or like something. Do not put me near explosives. I'm warning y'all right now.
Here's the problem with another big war where a lot of men die. We're going to further deball the society. So we're going to have the men that are considered toxic, but we need to fight the battles, go off.
Yep.
And we're going to have the leftovers keep breeding. And that could
Yep.
be a problem.
Let me tell you
you something.
Right.
You women from the 60s really messed up my life goals. You don't want to stay at home and clean the house, take care of the kids, you know, have dinner ready for your husbands when they got home from work.
Right.
That is all I want to do.
So what do you do here? You got these women that go, okay, I want to be educated. I want to do all the stuff I'm told to do. But, you know, I like to raise a family, like see my kids grow up. I get it. I could have the children and stay in that mid-level management job, but I want to experience the memories. I want them in my mind, but that's not widely popular anymore.
No, you all thought everyone wanted to be independent. I don't. I don't want to be independent. So now here I am.
You hear the terms independent. What does that mean? So if, let's just say, this young lady goes off, becomes a high-powered lawyer and says, you know, I want to take 10 years off, raise my kids, see them grow up. I don't want to have someone from south of the border raising them. Does that mean she's not independent, or does that mean she wants to see her children grow up? She wants that memory. That's a memory that's far better. Take it from me, have kids. Far better than some job you won't remember and the money you won't have.
Going to school because I'm ready to go to college and get them a job and education.
Shoveling a ton of gravel.
Yeah, college is a waste of time.
Shoveling. All I'm
Unless you're a lawyer or a doctor.
Women that wanted equal rights. The women's movement. Who wanted...
This looks again like the question I had for you guys. Is it the man or the money? If they got the money, she would be shoveling the gravel, and she still want the man. You know, what's going on
to here? Do the man's work, because I f***ing didn't. I'd rather be inside making sandwiches and serving iced tea. I don't want any part of being equal. I will make sandwiches, I will cook dinner, I will wear an apron, I will clean house, I'll vacuum, I'll do whatever I gotta do to keep from f***ing shoveling rock.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's unequal if she makes food in the house versus shoveling rock. I think it's just dividing up the tasks that need to be done, right? We need to eat,
Yep.
shovel the rock. We both can do it equally in some sort of socialist program. Or if somebody's better at shoveling rock because they enjoy the exercise, right? And someone's better at putting together the food because we like to eat too. Is that a problem? Is that really a bad thing?
And the difference between TikTok and Facebook is after I get this shit done, I'm going to get on Facebook and brag about
Girl boss.
everything I accomplished and how f***ing happy I am. But just know the truth. I'm pissed. I'm not happy.
So she's going full out girl boss on Facebook. Look at me, strong, independent woman. But she's saying, you know, I really don't want to do this job. It kind of sucks. I used to have a partner, a male partner, who did this, and it was nice not having to do it. Now I have to. But again, is it a money problem or a man problem?
It doesn't make me feel good. No part of it. Don't want to do it.
Hi guys, like I'm so sad right now because I just came to a realization this past.
Let's get to the full video of this poor lady. She pulls at the heartstrings. You can see she truly believes.
Nah, I don't want to listen to somebody cry.
Wait till I'm
show for y'all. Yeah. Jeffrey Marsh.
Ugh.
Jeffrey.
What the fuck?
What you do with you, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, you remind me of this dude. No, don't even go there.
Jesus.
He might be a nice guy. Can't compare him to that freak you met in... I remember I was working at Ross Chris for less. You still gonna go there, huh? And I ran into this dude looked like Jeffrey, but he was like 85 years old. Had these tiny little weenie shorts on, these blue high heels with these skinny, ugly legs. He was a guy, of course, and he had these no lips whatsoever. And he had red lipstick on half his face to make him look like he had lips. Yeah, he looked like that dude off of South Park. What's that gay dude? He's a teacher. Was that Mr. Hand? Mr. Hat. Mr. Hat, yeah. But anyway, I just when I first saw
Mr.
that dude,
Garrison.
that dude, I had chills all over my body. Felt like I was looking at the Antichrist. That's the same thing I get when I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the makeup he wears and the beard, those don't go together. You just come off creepy, especially when you do videos like this. Check this out.
Teaching children that God is constantly watching them and judging them so they have a lifetime of anxiety. That's grooming. I keep wondering, who is the real danger to children?
You are. You think I'd rather leave my kids around a Bible thumper all day than your crazy ass? Yeah.
Kids got anxiety by somebody watching their every movement. The only person that got anxiety is you. Did she see that smile? What's wrong with his back molar? I didn't see that. You didn't see it? Hey, go to it again, pull it up, and slow it down right at the end when he smiles hard. I ain't trying to see nothing crazy now. If I ever went to a glory hole and I saw it, this would I would see on the other side. Man, you crazy as hell for that one.
You gonna get demonetized, man.
Can you scan in more? Bring his face up some more. I think it's a gap. I mean, that molar don't look right.
It's a gap.
It's got a little room right there. That's all. It's a little room. What's wrong with his other teeth is perfect, but what's up with that molar? That lipstick does not go with that shit on your eyes. What is that? What you call that? Mascara? I mean, why are you even wearing mascara and lipstick with a beard? Because he's non-binary. And he's trying to normalize this in front of kids. That's his whole motivation in life. If you're non-binary, you're not a man or a woman. Why are you wearing women's makeup and wearing a woman's dress? If you're non-binary. Like, if you were really non-binary, wouldn't you just shave off everything and just look like a... skinless creature. I mean, a hairless creature. Yeah. And just wear baggy clothes. That's what non-binary is. He's taking both genders and combining them into one. And then calling it non-binary. Nah, you just a man wearing... Look, check out this next video. This dude's coming after your kids, I'm telling you.
Hi, kids. There's no such
Pause
thing
it right
as a
there.
boy.
Pause it. Them teeth. Those veneers? Yeah, those are veneers.
Those are veneers.
See the other video? He's got nice teeth. See, those teeth are a lot bigger. Well, at least he shaved in this one. He looks better. Nah, he still got that fake Michael Jackson beard. Well, he looks more.
Still got that.
Mustache.
Still got that stash.
He does that on purpose. It's his whole routine of whoever your barber is, fire him. It's no fade or nothing. It's just hacksaw. You probably cut your own damn hair. All right, okay, go ahead, keep going.
A girl, and I can prove it. So gather around the family, the parents, everybody, answer my questions. You either say boys or girls. Who's usually taller? Oh, boys? Okay. But you've met some short boys, right? You met some tall girls. So usually boys are taller, but not always. Okay. Who likes the color pink?
Wow.
Girls? Okay. But you've met girls who don't like pink.
You like
and you
pink,
met
bitch.
boys who do like pink. So usually girls like pink, but not always. Everything you can think of that makes a boy or makes a girl is usually, but not always. And some of them are not even usually. Where does that leave you? Free. You get to like what you like. You get to be who you are.
It's not reality.
You're even like
no.
No, you're not a boy or a girl.
See? It's grooming. See, none of those things he mentioned has anything to do with your sex.
Nope.
What determines your sex is literally what's physically between your legs. Yeah. It doesn't matter on your height. It doesn't matter what color you like. Yeah.
I can't believe we have to have these conversations.
Yeah. What matters is right here and what you got between your legs. That's what determines whether you're
Where's my fucking flying car at?
a straw man. And of course you're insane too, so.
Oh boy. This. Oh my god. I can't believe. After watching. This is.
Any of you ladies want to join the party?
This is perfect.
Hang on, everyone. Hang on. This is teachable, okay? Now, they use the word slut in a sex-positive way, which is a good thing. But other than that, these two are a reminder that we still have a long, hard road ahead of us.
Long, hard.
Yeah, like a wiener, you know, or a schlong, you know. Get it?
Why don't we start by having you two tell us what you thought of the reading assignments for today?
We don't really read stuff.
Of course not, because you don't need to. Because Daddy's connections got you into college, we'll get you a job on Wall Street.
Wait a minute. Do you know who my dad is?
I'm sure he's very powerful powerful and can have me fired, but I don't care.
Cool. My dad's powerful.
Oh, that's cool, yeah. Because Butthead's mom said he died of syphilis. Wow.
Classic example of white privilege. And you both have it.
What's that?
Anyone want to fill them in?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay. So, white privilege is when white people, particularly men, automatically assume they can take whatever they want. And they never have to worry about getting stopped by the police. And they have the inside track for any job
I've got
they...
this one, Aisha. They have the inside track for any job they want.
Exactly, Gage. Thank you for that. That's white privilege.
Oh, and we have that?
You sure do.
I see.
Whoa. I never realized this stuff.
Yeah, you've really opened up my eyes.
Well, I'm glad we've been able to enlighten you.
God damn it.
Real
There's a
question
video
is,
out here
do
that's
you think you'll be acting differently from now on?
not all.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
Yeah, check it out. Don't worry, it's okay.
White privilege. And you both have it.
What's that?
Anyone?
I've got this one, Aisha. They have
I
the
got this
inside
one,
track
Aisha.
for any job they want.
Exactly, Gage. Thank you for that. That's white privilege.
You little fucker.
And we have that?
You sure do.
I see.
Whoa. I never realized this stuff.
Yeah, you've really opened up my eyes.
Well, I'm glad we've been able to enlighten you. The real question is, do you think you'll be acting differently from now on?
Oh boy.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Step aside, please. We have white privilege.
Oh no.
Yeah, check it out. Don't worry, it's okay. We automatically assume we can take what we want, and we don't have to worry about the police. It's okay, you didn't know. We didn't either.
This is what we were taught, sir.
We're subverting existing paradigms.
This rules. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad we went to college.
Yeah, it's like, now I have the skills for today's workplace.
Oh my god. Oh, this is old one. Watch that.
Rigmarole.
No.
Oh, gee, Rick, what's that trickling sound? I hear a trickle.
Psst, Morty,
What?
Morty, over here.
Rick!
Morty.
Rick!
Morty. Morty, I'm Sandwich Rick! I turned myself into a sandwich.
Rick!
Morty, how can you be so stupid, Morty? I'm the real Rick. That was an alien, Morty. That was a flonky from planet Flonky in the Flonky galaxy, Morty. They drink Flonky milk.
Oh, Rick.
Oh, Morty, don't be sad. Here, shake the hand of a great man. It'll make you feel better.
Ouch, Rick!
I covered myself in thorns, Morty, you fucking idiot! I'm Prickle Rick, Morty! I'm Prickle Rick!
Oh, gee, Rick. I don't know what your problem is.
Morty, I'm bored. I'm gonna kill you.
What the fuck?
Mental health can affect anyone in powerful and sometimes severe ways. But how much of this can be used to explain the terrible actions of David Katz? It was in August of 2018 that he would do the unthinkable and attempt to end the lives of a dozen other gamers. But what was the motive behind his actions? What struggles did David conceal from others? And what lay behind his terrible history?
Alright, I think
This
this will
case
be it.
is eye-opening to say the least. It contains a myriad
I'm
of
gonna
red
start
flags and concerning clues which all led to tragedy.
playing
and
Deep
argues the
Rock
importance of mental
Galactic
health
after
and how to
this.
deal with it. Hey there folks, and welcome back to another video by Coffeehouse Crime. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at the case of David Katz. And just to let you know before we begin, but I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that's your sort of thing, please consider subscribing to Coffeehouse Crime. So grab yourself a coffee and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of David Katz. Welcome back to America, folks. Today we're zoning in on the state of Maryland, and more specifically, the state of Baltimore. Hard to believe, but in 1752, Baltimore had just 27 homes, a church, and 2 taverns. But fast forward a little over 270 years, and it now holds a population of roughly 600,000 residents. Once a predominantly industrial town with an economic base focused on steel processing, shipping, and auto manufacturing, the city now relies on a low-wage service economy, which accounts for 31% of jobs in the city. Nowadays, shipping, cargo, and tourism are significant players in Baltimore's economy, and roughly $53 billion of cargo move through its shipping ports every year. And as for tourism, Baltimore's rich history makes this a popular destination for tourists, with more than 25 million visitors. However, there's a disturbing side to Baltimore too. Some of you may know it for Leakin Park, an area infamous for finding dead bodies. And in fact, since 1946, a total of 79 bodies have been found around its grounds. Most of these were from one-off homicides, however some of the bodies were from the spree killer Reginald Oates. Now, Leakin Park also borders on some of Baltimore's roughest neighborhoods, which probably strongly influences the number of homicides in the area. But today's story doesn't begin or end in a place of poverty, and in fact it's actually quite the opposite. Miles away from the cold and dangerous streets around Leakin Park, we find the Katz family, comprising of Mother Elizabeth, Father Richard, and their 2 sons, Brandon and David. Their eldest son, Brandon, was born in March of 1990, and his younger brother David followed suit almost 4 years later. Born on December the 22nd,
I'll let the dogs out.
1993,
I'll be back.
David entered this world into an affluent and highly educated family.
Alright.
His father, Richard, was a NASA engineer, and his mother, Elizabeth, was a toxicologist for the FDA, also known as the US Food and Drug Administration. And just a heads up, but this fact becomes extremely vital to our story later. Despite their promising beginning, Brandon's and David's childhoods were rocky to say the least. It was in the year 2006, when David was only 12 years old, that his parents decided to divorce. Understandably, this devastated both him and his brother Brandon, and moving forward, the 2 split their time between their parents. The brothers attended Hammond High School in Columbia, found southwest of Baltimore, and while here, classmates recognized David as a shy and sometimes antisocial kid. He stuck to himself, was quiet, and was heavily into video games. And that final point is rather crucial to highlight, as moving forward, David spent most of his time in his room playing competitive sports video games, namely Madden NFL. The Madden series is an American football video game based on the Nation Football League, developed by EA Sports. And with this game being Madden, a new edition of the game comes out every year. David graduated from Hammond High School in 2011, and fast forward 3 years to 2014, he enrolled in the University of Maryland to major in environmental science and technology. But David wasn't necessarily interested in education or work, and instead he dived deeper into the world of the internet, spending all of his time on video games. His dedication eventually paid off, and he became very good at playing Madden. And by June of 2016, he started competing in professional competitive games against other players. Taking the gaming name Bread, Sliced Bread, or Ravens Champ, he joined the Buffalo Bills Madden 17 Series Championship, and eventually won. Initially seen as an underdog and the 7th seed, David began to turn heads when he annihilated his opponents in game, and gained further attention with his cocky interviews.
You came in here today, you traveled up from Maryland, and now you get a chance to go into the semifinals. You have to feel pretty good about it. You came in as a 7 seed and you just knocked off the 2 seed, and you did pretty convincingly.
Yeah, I don't think of myself as a 7 seed. I think personally I'm one of the better players. And I like to let my game prove that.
All right, Dave, congratulations. We'll see you in the next round. And guys, Larry, Zach, we'll go back upstairs to you guys.
This appeared to be David's lucky weekend. He went on to win the Buffalo Bills Madden Championship, landing him a cool $10,000 in the process.
Necessary. Oh! Brandon Cooks, he's got the speed. Does he have enough juice? Last play of the game. Oh my goodness! Touchdown, the young man from Columbia, Maryland. The last play of the game, and he gets it done. It's a touchdown. A long house call there. I am speechless. And that is the ball game.
Well, along with the money that you're getting, we've got something else for you in the Club Series. Your Madden jersey, there you go. Way to go, Bread. Coming out on top of the championship. Number 7 seed taking out the number 1 seed in the final. Congratulations, Larry, Zach, up to you. What a day in Buffalo.
And although he wouldn't win the next one, in April of 2017, David Katz went on to represent the Buffalo Bills at the Madden 17 Club Series Championship, which is a very prestigious duty for a gamer no matter how you view it. David Katz was in a very exciting moment of his life, and despite falling back on his education, he was making great wins, making good money, and earning a good reputation in his hobby. Now, it's every gamer's dream to make a career out of video games, but despite his rising fame, there were many challenging aspects to David's life.
Ain't that the truth?
His early childhood. Police records show that between 1993 and 2009, the first 16 years of David's life, 26 calls were made to the police from his family home. No one is entirely sure what these calls were for, but the vast majority are categorized under domestic disputes and mental illness, and many of these calls were during the time David was just a child. And this is probably the best time to address David's mental health, because it was really not good. David was known to have a myriad of mental health issues, starting at the age of 9. By the time David was 12 years old, he had seen multiple psychiatrists and had been prescribed several psychiatric drugs, including antipsychotics and antidepressants. Now, this was one of the many reasons David's parents had divorced, as the two constantly argued about what was best for their children. Richard claimed that Elizabeth, a toxicologist for the FDA, was obsessed with using mental health professionals and psychiatric drugs to perform the work that parents should naturally do. And whether Richard's claims were valid or not, there is no denying that David was on strong medication from an extremely young age, and his mental health seemed to be very problematic throughout his teenage years. Despite his father's concerns, David was prescribed Abilify, an antipsychotic drug primarily used to treat schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. He was also prescribed Prozac, an antidepressant under the SSRI umbrella. And to add to this, there are also unconfirmed reports to say that he was prescribed another antidepressant called Lexapro. After allegedly experiencing a psychiatric crisis, Elizabeth took David to see a range of therapists, psychiatrists, and social workers.
That's
and in
pretty
one
common.
instance, David had to be handcuffed by police after locking himself in his mother's car to avoid going to a mental health appointment with her. David's story gets worse and worse. In 2007, and at the age of 14, David was admitted to Shepherd Pratt Psychiatric Hospital, where he was administered a higher dosage of antidepressants. This was only one of 4 known care facilities that David attended around the same year. And since then, one of them has recently been under investigation for sexual abuse of their adolescent patients. By now, David's parents had divorced, and he was splitting his time between his mother's and his father's homes. Saying that, he did have a favourite parent, and he clearly hated spending any time with his mother. She had twice packed all of his clothes into a suitcase and told him to get out of the house. And one of those occasions was on Mother's Day in 2007. David was also enrolled into a wilderness treatment program for troubled teenagers for several months. And allegedly, his mother had enrolled him into the facility without first securing permission from the court. On December the 22nd, 2009, David wrote a letter to the judge reviewing his own parents' ongoing custody battle. and in this letter he said, "Dear Judge, today is my birthday and I'm turning 16 years old. I live with my mum and have been wanting to live with my dad. My mum is pretty crazy. She called the police on me about 20 times for pretty much nothing, like coming home a little late or something. She also gets drunk and starts yelling at me and poking me and doesn't leave me alone. She has hit me before and always takes my stuff because she feels like it. She has twice sent me to mental hospitals and once to a wilderness therapy program for no significant reason. I also can never talk to her because I hate her more than anything in the world, and she would probably yell at me. She also lies a lot." As David reached adulthood, the frequency in which he sought medical attention dropped quite drastically. Whether this was because he had control over his own life or not, we don't actually know, but concerning signs still existed throughout his day-to-day schedule. David would go days without bathing. He often played video games such as Madden until 4 AM on school nights, and he often walked around the house in circles. To add to this, David was further diagnosed with dysthymia, which is a persistent depressive disorder. To make this more relatable, it's basically major depressive disorder but with longer lasting symptoms. And in conjunction with this, he was also diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder.
Jeez.
ODD is defined as a pattern of angry and irritable moods, coupled with argumentative and defiant behavior. This behavior is usually targeted towards peers, teachers, authority figures, and of course, in this case, parents. Moving forward, David withdrew himself from the rest of the real world. He spent almost all of his time online, had almost no physical friends, and began to fail at school. By the time he was competing in Madden tournaments, he was living alone in a condo in Baltimore, and although he was enrolled in university, he wasn't actually registered for any classes that year. David had earned the reputation as a strong professional Madden player, but many other players saw him as socially awkward, strange, and rude. As seen in many of his clips, he never made eye contact with other players, and would often refuse to shake their hands after a win or a loss.
You are not going to see much emotion from our guy Brett. This dude is a man David Katz keeps to himself. He's a man of business. He's not here for the experience and to go out, this, that, and the third. He's not here to make friends. He's all business. He's focused, and to even get him to open up and talk to you about anything, it's like pulling teeth, man.
Now, David was clearly an awkward guy, and although some people knew of his aggressive behavioural issues, no one was very apprehensive about being in his presence. But in August of 2018, that would all change. And excluding those who lost their lives, he would forever change the lives of dozens of people forever. August 26th, 2018. The time was 1:30 PM. It was a Sunday, and Florida was enjoying another laid-back weekend in the humid heat. Families were taken to the malls to keep cool, while others remained in their homes under their aircon. And roughly 150 of those in the city of Jacksonville were spending their weekend at the Good Luck Have Fun gaming bar, located in the Jacksonville Landing Indoor Marketplace. A Madden NFL 19 tournament was being hosted here, and many of those who were particularly good at the game had been invited. And of course, this included Brett, also known as David Katz. The event had spanned over the weekend, beginning on Saturday with the final scheduled to take place on the Sunday evening. David had comfortably made his way through several wins on Saturday, but now Sunday was here, the games were getting more serious and much more harder. Now, unfortunately, luck was not on his side today, as shortly before 1 PM, David Katz was knocked out of the tournament by his opponent, Elijah Clayton. David was furious and refused to shake Elijah's hand after being knocked out. And this wasn't just because he was defeated by him, but because David and Elijah had a very long Twitter history. Now, Elijah often picked on David for his social awkwardness and seemed to intentionally jeopardize David's work whenever possible. In fact, David had recently authored a book to teach others how to get better at Madden, and after releasing this book, Elijah posted it online. In a recent tournament, Elijah and David ordered a taxi back to the airport, but when the cab arrived, Elijah slammed the door in David's face and then left him. And now, after all of this bad blood, David had been knocked out of the tournament by a man he despised, and the consequences would be both irrational and severe.
Got a lot of good games going on. It's a lot. It's going to be hard to get them on stream. It's not a lot. It's not a tough.
Oh shit.
After storming out of the Good Luck Have Fun bar, David headed around Chicago Pizza. While there, he took his sunglasses off and left them on the side of the table before reaching into his Baltimore Ravens. Storming back into the bar, he took position near the other players, pulled out a .45 caliber handgun from his bag, and dropped the bag on the floor. The tournament was still in full swing, with several players in the middle of the match, and to add to this, the entire thing was being live-streamed on Twitch and subscription platforms. David aimed his gun at Elijah Clayton, and it just so happened that the live-stream camera was focused on him this very moment. Just seconds before being shot, the laser sight on David's gun can be seen.
Oh shit!
And just as the camera pans back to David died. Elijah was shot in the chest, forehead, and right eye 3 times, killing him instantly in his chair. David then turned on to 12 other victims, including 27-year-old Taylor Robinson. Taylor was shot from behind as he ran away. Sadly, he was killed in the process, and just 20 seconds after firing his first shot, David turned the gun on himself. 10 others had been shot before David took his own life, with an 11th victim injuring himself from running away. And all of this had been captured live on stream. It seems that David's motive was made out of rage. Elijah had long frustrated him, and after losing to him, he couldn't handle it anymore. Couple this with ODD, amongst other issues, and it seems fairly natural. But this doesn't explain why he purchased 2 guns shortly before the tournament, or why he bought them with him, so perhaps there was some sort of premeditation involved. Gunfire was first reported in the media at 1:34 PM, and only 2 minutes later, first responders arrived at the bar, and what they found was a crime scene full of terror. The Firefighters Union had been training in the area when victims had run up to them for help. They could help secure the scene very quickly with the assistance of officers, and due to the bar's location, the Coast Guard was also called in to sweep the surrounding waterways. Authorities were able to storm the main room of the Good Luck Have Fun bar around 40 minutes after the attack, and there they found David, Elijah, and Taylor dead at the scene. David's body count could have been much higher, but thankfully, 10 of his 12 victims survived the attack. Even still, 2 innocent lives had been lost in the process, and now 2 families, along with countless friends and fans, would be Taylor Robinson, also known as Please, was born on November the 23rd, 1990. He was a professional football player from Bollard, West Virginia. He was a 2009 graduate of Jamestown High School, was a standout athlete at school, and Athlete of the Year in his senior year. He was also an accountant and credit analyst working for First Community Bank. Elijah Clayton, also known as True Boy, was born on June 19, 1996. He too was a professional player from Woodlands Hill, California. He attended Calabasas High School and played for their football team in his younger years. Tragically, he decided to attend the event very last minute, as up until the day before, he had no plans to go. Bringing modern technology to the discussion, but one aspect of the investigation that found to be very fascinating was Jacksonville Police Department's 3D modeling. This video was created using thousands of tickets, stitched together to accurately portray a virtual model of the crime scene. After entering the building and then panning around the east to west end, you can see the area in which David had taken. To the left and down the hallway is where he previously shot Elijah. Sadly, this model captures how chaotic the scene was. With David Katz dead, there would obviously be no trial or court proceedings for the individual, but many lawsuits erupted in the wake of his destructive path. The aftermath of this story is unfortunately very messy and confusing, as nobody actually knew about David's mental health issues until after it was all too late, and of course many questions followed. It turns out that, despite all of his former mental health problems, David had legally purchased a couple of handguns just 2 weeks before the shooting from a shop in Maryland. And that was just the tip of the iceberg, because what followed was the revelation of his long and complicated history with antipsychotics, antidepressants, and his mother. Summarizing what we discussed earlier, but David had been diagnosed with dysthymia, or oppositional disorder, was previously on a wide range of antidepressants and antipsychotics, had witnessed a traumatic divorce between his parents, had a very problematic relationship with his mother, and had attended more than several mental health institutions.
No, what you do? Puppy? What you doing? No. Oh, you don't want to do that. Ew, gross. Yeah, that's not that kind of show. All the stuffings from animal they ripped up. House is a mess. What you guys doing? What is that? There. Get her, Daisy. Get the rope. Get that rope. What are you doing? Ah! Get up. What the? Get down. Well, I gotta grab it. I got it. Go. Go. Get Daisy. Spark it out. No, no. Why you always gotta go for my end? This is supposed to be mine. There you go. Daisy's trying. Can't quite get a grip. Get it, Daisy. Get it, Daisy. Get the row. Get the row. I want Dad to play. Not you. I want Dad to play, not you. So bossy. So bossy. Why you gonna try grabbing my end? It's my end. No. Give it to me. Give it to me. Animal. Give it. Give it. Give it. You getting tired? Wanna rest? Huh? You getting tired? Huh? You getting tired? From there. Got water. You got water out here. Why are you trying to drink my stinky bath water, huh? Your boy. What are you doing, Bubbies? Hi. Hi, Bubby. What are you doing? Hmm? Good. What's that? What's that? What is that? It's my little baby girl. It's Daisy. Say hi, Daisy. Hi, Daisy. My good girl, yeah.